Welcome to another reading, folks. Today I'm taking a look at the dynamic between Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift. Now, in my previous reading, I had done some work on where Taylor Swift is coming from whenever she says a particular thing, like being a functioning alcoholic. And when I was doing a little bit of research, one of the comments asked me to do a reading on Olivia of that video. One of the comments of that video asked me to do a reading on Olivia Rodrigo. I had no idea who Olivia Rodrigo was, and I should say that I'm not a fan of either of these musicians, but I also want to see both of them in their highest good. I want to see them happy, doing well, doing amazing things for their communities. I want to see them in good places. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this reading. As soon as I started doing a little bit of research on Olivia, I saw right away that Taylor had said some stuff in her latest album. Someone needs to correct me on this, but I thought I saw Taylor had said some stuff against Olivia in her latest album. Was it something about dead poets or something like that? I'm sorry, I don't listen to either of their music, okay? So you're going to need to correct me on this stuff. So I'm using the Lightseer's Tarot, by the way, to kind of read the dynamic here. So Taylor is 34, right? And Olivia Rodrigo is either 20 or 21. Like, she's young. So if Taylor has some beef against Olivia Rodrigo, it's up to Taylor to let that stuff go, because Taylor's quite a bit older and more experienced than Olivia is. I feel like Taylor is acting out of her pain, and I think that a lot of people can see that Taylor is in deep pain. I feel like Taylor feels that she's being threatened by someone who's new and upcoming, kind of in the way that others felt threatened by Taylor when she was new and upcoming. What goes around comes around, and I mean that respectfully, okay? So I've already shuffled. I've laid out some cards. I've laid out 3 cards from the bottom of my deck, and I've got the 3 of Cups. Not about either of these women's friend groups at all. It's about the fans who think that they know enough about this dynamic that they can comment on it. They are celebrating. You could see this as like a fan group, like hardcore fans who are celebrating both of these women's achievements together in a sense. These folks may not necessarily care about any supposed drama between Taylor and Olivia at all. They just want to feel good through their music, through their lyrics. They want to be brought together as a community through their lyrics. And that's kind of where this whole supposed beef kind of falls short, is that there could be so much more unity, so much more happiness, so much more joy if there wasn't any drama. I understand that there are some people who enjoy drama, who enjoy beef, but I think that it's kind of falling short when people enjoy other people's pain. If Taylor is having beef with someone who is so much younger than her, it speaks to her pain, for instance. And vice versa with Olivia. Like, that speaks to Olivia's pain if Olivia has beef with Taylor. Both of these women have some incredible talent that they need to enjoy, and they've got fans whom they need to enjoy, they need to focus on their own life journeys as opposed to any competition that they might have together. And I should say that it might be that their teams are also generating some competition in order to get their names out there in the press, and that's equally problematic. Both of these ladies may not necessarily want that kind of information out there. We'll talk more about that. Or maybe Taylor does want that information out there. If she put that in her album, supposedly, I don't remember. If she put that in her album, maybe she does want that information out there. It's pettiness, and it's pettiness coming out of pain. Then we've got the star in reverse. Somebody's star is falling, and I'm feeling like it was Taylor. In my Taylor Swift reading, I saw that she had Death in reverse, Temperance in reverse, and one other card. But she had a couple of major arcanas in reverse that said that things were headed... Oh, it might have been Justice in reverse, too. So it kind of indicated to me that Taylor had some things coming around for her that were overdue. That by avoiding the end of an era, seen in death, then things were out of balance. She was refusing to bring things back into balance, and therefore the universe was forcing things, seen in the Justice card. The hand of the universe was being forced, and it sucks because it's painful for Taylor. I feel like she's speaking out of insecurity when she sees other younger musicians, specifically female musicians. I don't know that she feels threatened by male musicians. But when she sees younger female musicians up and coming, she feels like her star is falling, and that's not an exaggeration, because this in reverse indicates me that the universe is righting the balance, if you will. Things have been out of balance now for a while, and it's time for things to change. In Taylor's favor, in the sense that it is for her highest good if she chooses to accept it that way. But she's not going to see that immediately. I remember her having a Capricorn stellium. She's going to see this as absolute punishment. And I wonder if that isn't where she's going to start to get some people who are genuinely concerned for her and ask her to have a retirement phase, if you will. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I talk a little bit more about someone coming in and writing her a note, sending her a text that says, Taylor, this needs to stop. You need to stop or you're going to kill yourself. You're going to harm yourself, basically. I see that coming in the future. This is quite possibly where the decline starts, where Taylor's decline starts. And I wonder if Olivia isn't... I feel like Olivia is divine retribution in a way from the universe for working and speaking and acting out of Taylor's pain instead of turning around to the pain and working to heal it. Taylor could have kept her star rising if she had shown herself to be vulnerable, if she had worked on her pain, if she had shared her pain in an appropriate way, for instance. She could have kept her star rising, could have become an even bigger role model than she is now for a lot of people. She could have become an incredibly positive role model, and right now it feels like she's tearing down her own foundation unintentionally. A Capricorn stellium would never deliberately tear down the foundation for their physical, material well-being. Look what I've got here. That's the Six of Wands. Literally a feminine figure up on a stage being surrounded by shadowy, clapping figures. Kind of an interesting... They're not physically there. Their drawing is there. Spotlights on her and all this kind of good stuff. All about seeking the limelight at the expense of her own heart, at the expense of her own life journey. It sounds like Taylor needs to take a seat and allow other younger female musicians such as Olivia Rodrigo. And I'm getting that if it wasn't for Olivia, it would have been someone else. Taylor feels vindictive because she's acting out of her pain. She feels insecure because she hasn't dealt with... I talked about her Chiron wound in her earlier video. She hasn't even remotely started to deal with that yet. Yes, she has. Somewhat. She's medicating it. She's not dealing with it. Okay, so she's been dealing with her Chiron wound and cancer. With it sounds like drugs, alcohol, and with distractions with men. Harmful, self-harmful behavior. I'm going to shuffle a little bit until Spirit says to stop. And we'll get more of a story. This has nothing to do with Olivia, Taylor's vindictiveness. It's just a target for her. And again, if it wasn't for Olivia, if it wasn't going to be Olivia, it was going to be someone else. Taylor is lashing out. She's at the top. She's in pain. She doesn't feel like anyone can relate to her, that anyone can connect to her, not even her own family, not even any friends that she might have left. I wonder if she isn't driving people away. And I wonder now if that isn't where that letter, that note from someone, a male figure who cares about her, could be Dad, might not be. But someone's going to cut in and say, enough's enough. You need to pull things over and fade out of the limelight for a little bit until you can recover. And I think that Taylor's going to go into it kicking and screaming. Has nothing to do with Olivia. We have the Eight of Cups. It's not Olivia who's going to be walking away from an emotional investment that she's put time and effort and energy into. It's going to be Taylor. She's going to be forced to walk away from this. Embarrassment. Walking away out of embarrassment of what was said on the album and her latest album. Okay. She exposed too much of her own insecurities, and she doesn't see it yet, but she will, because people are going to continue to talk about it, and it's going to be like a mirror reflecting things back to her in a way, in an unpleasant way for her. Conflict. She's going to act out of conflict, act out of defensiveness, going to be forced to walk away from something that she held dear, and because of this, I can expect this Capricorn stellium in Taylor to be kicking and screaming while being forced to leave. All she wants is a happy family. I don't feel like her family of origin is happy, especially with that Chiron in Cancer. I don't feel like she feels that she can have a happy family of her own. She tells herself that she doesn't want children, but yes, she really, really does. She feels like it's vulnerability. She feels like she wouldn't be able to give her children the life that she wants to give them, the life that they deserve. It's sad. It's unfortunate. She's really cutting herself short. And I wonder if she doesn't see something in Olivia reflecting back at her that brings out all her insecurities about herself, what she hasn't achieved yet. It brings all of that out into the open in a way that Taylor can't deal with it properly. Does Olivia have a happy family? Yes, she does. No, she doesn't. She has some good connections, it feels like, with possibly some aunts, some cousins, some female family members that Taylor doesn't have. And Taylor sees it from a distance and burns with rage and jealousy. And pain. This is Chiron and Cancer absolutely acting. So yes, it has something to do with Olivia, but at the same time, no, it doesn't. It could have been anyone who had a happy family, who was also a rising star, a talented musician, that kind of thing. Working her ass off, spinning her wheels. If people are going to see me for my insecurities, then I'm going to work even harder to cover those up. Ace of Swords. Completely in her own mind. And it's not always a good place to be. Yes, it is in this particular case. But sometimes our own minds are our own prisons. We repress a lot in our minds because there's so much activity that goes on there. Sometimes it's a blessing to be less of a sword energy than not. A tremendous amount of anxiety. This is new for her. This is a new way of thinking this anxiety is. Spinning her wheels with that Eight of Pentacles, working her ass off to cover up her insecurities, that Chiron Cancer, and her Capricorn stellium is hard at work too. She never felt, this is a new kind of, she's always felt insecure, but this is a new kind of insecurity in the sense that she can easily see herself being replaced by Olivia and by other young female musicians like Olivia, for instance, who are deeply talented, who have fans. It's possible that Taylor has seen some of her fans also enjoy Olivia's music from a distance, and I'm getting that enraged kind of feeling from Taylor too. No, you're only supposed to enjoy my music. It's a childish selfishness, again, acting out of pain. Let's be honest, if Taylor was a happy, healthy, emotionally healthy, mentally unhealthy, well-adjusted individual who had a great relationship with her inner child, she wouldn't be acting out like this. She wouldn't be releasing albums like this. Her music would be of a completely different tone. You might even hear whole different harmonies. You might even hear like the literal music, not just the lyrics, but the music would be utterly different if she made friends with her Chiron, if she made friends with her inner child, if she held on, befriended her insecurities and understood where they came from. If she could befriend her pain, she might not be in this particular state. The first reversal we've had in a while, things are slipping away from her. She can't hold on tight to what she finds most valuable anymore. She can't clutch that hard enough anymore. It is literally sand slipping between her fingers the tighter she grips on. Those pentacles are turning to dust. And go out to your sandbox, if you have one, to your sibling sandbox, your kid's sandbox, your cousin's sandbox, or go to the beach if you have access to a beach, and try to grip onto some sand and feel. I used to have fun with this as a kid. I used to love feeling the sand falling away the tighter that I gripped onto it. But you can have fun with it literally as a kid. Taylor is not. She can really feel things sliding away. This lands on top of my Five of Wands, the conflict card. She's in deep anxiety about being forced to walk away, and she can feel things slipping away the more she gets into conflict. But she is feeling so defensive that she doesn't know what else to do. Her mind is on meltdown mode right now. And so she copes with drugs and alcohol and does things that normally she wouldn't like to see her fans, she wouldn't like to see her audience do. I wonder if that she isn't a bit embarrassed about her use being broadcasted. I remember talking about in Taylor's video about how she can be a deeply private person and how she hates being. I saw a picture of her with Travis, and her face was down and her face was kind of scrunched up, kind of like a really tight smile. I understand that it's just a picture, but I don't feel like she was enjoying being photographed with Travis in that particular moment. And I don't know how recent that picture was either. You got the Knight of Pentacles and it's in reverse. That's it. Things are at a complete standstill. It's landing on top of the Ten of Cups after the Four of Pentacles. So not only are things slipping through her fingers, so to speak, the tighter that she grips, she's at a complete standstill when it comes to making progress towards that happy family, that happily ever after that she dreams of. It's a choking sadness at the very, very core of it. I'm feeling like she is constantly choked up, crying in her hotel room when she feels like she's all alone. Like she can't stand this spiral that she feels at the core of her being. There's a part of her that is deeply, like, I believe that we are all psychic, that we are all intuitive on our own different levels. With that Chiron in Cancer, she's going to be pretty psychic. And I forget in what house. I'm sorry. But I feel like she's psychic enough to feel the spiral, and that she's experienced enough to see where this could lead. And I think that she's terrified. I'm getting that choking feeling, as like, I'm about to cry, but I'm not going to cry in front of people. I'm going to wait until I'm alone. She is being encouraged to look at this as a new part of the journey, in spite of what's been going on, in spite of justice, temperance, and I remember the other card. She had 3 cards in reverse in the previous reading that told me that things were going to be coming to an end. In spite of this, death in reverse. The universe is still offering her a chance to leap with childlike wonder and fascination with the world, leap into a new part of her life, and if she can, that would mean kind of shutting down her constant churning out of music and focusing on herself, focusing on her pain until she can heal it. And I don't mean in the unhealthy sense. I mean focusing on her pain in the sense that she learns to understand its root, where it comes from, and that she learns to love herself in spite of her woundedness, in spite of her insecurities. That's what I'm really hoping for Taylor here, and that's absolutely what the universe is offering her here. Justice in reverse, death in reverse, and temperance in reverse are not punishments for her. They are meant to be seen, and that's going to be hard with her Capricorn stellium. They are meant to be seen as a leaping off point for a new era that she could see as beautiful and brand new. Whole new lyrics, whole new harmonies, whole new style of music, if that's what she wanted. She could even make her own combination of a genre, if you will. Take this kind of music and this kind of music and make a whole new beautiful form of music. She could do that if she were to choose to see this for what it is. This, by the way, is landing on top of my 8 of Pentacles. So instead of churning her wheels, working her ass off to avoid this end, she could instead turn that energy, working her ass off instead, towards working with her pain in a positive and healthy way. And I don't know that she will. I relate to her heavily because I also have a Capricorn stellium, and I'm just praying that she turns things around for herself. We're not done yet. It's going to be a struggle for her to get into the Fool energy because she is jaded. She has learned to see new offerings from the universe. Here we go. New offerings from the universe with a kind of fear, in the sense like, okay, what are you going to bring? What do you want? What do you want from me? How are you going to take advantage of me? Instead of seeing it as a cool new opportunity to become someone new. If she can harness this energy with the Fool, she could become a genuinely loving person. And I feel like she has that capacity still, in spite of how she's treated others in the past and how she's treated. This reading started out as Olivia, but it's turned into a Taylor reading. The issues are all with Taylor. Olivia definitely has her own flaws, but that's not the subject of this reading. I wanted to know about the dynamic between the two of them, and it's coming from Taylor. It's not coming from Olivia. Taylor has Olivia in front of her as a mirror, and Taylor's being invited by the universe to turn things around because she can see in the mirror. I know that Taylor can see that, and that's why she's lashing out, but it's the wrong response. We're going to do 4 more, and that's it. Taylor needs to go into a place of introspection. I thought I pulled this card. Maybe not, okay? But definitely with death in reverse, justice in reverse, and temperance in reverse, that's definitely a call to go into a place of solitude, not isolation. This would be isolation, okay? upright. This is about going into solitude, possibly going to a meditation retreat, possibly going into rehab if she can admit to herself that she has a problem, that there is no such thing as a functioning alcoholic, there is just alcoholism. If she can get to a place of introspection, it's going to be much easier for her to get into this space. Okay? Ideally, that's where she should be. This is hard. Most people can't do this because this is hard. This is about not just being in solitude, but at genuinely looking at yourself and patiently waiting for the universe to give you guidance about what you can do to reach your highest good. That is something that a lot of people don't do. They run away from this because it's painful. This life's journey for anybody, regardless of how much fame we may have, regardless of how much money we may earn, living on this earth is painful. And yet we're invited to live to the maximum. The universe wants us to live to the absolute maximum. And I don't feel like Taylor is going to do this easily. I feel like she's going to be forced into this position. Come into this energy of the hermit and slow things down to an almost stand still. Not put out the flame, but I wonder if she won't have to put out the flame, in a sense, and start over with a new fire, because the fire that she has is burning in the wrong direction and it might need to be put out. Yeah, it might need to be put out in order for a new fire to be kicked off. She needs to admit that she's out of balance, that she doesn't have things under control. With that star in reverse, she feels like things are slipping away. She's deeply defensive. And she needs to admit herself that she has lost control and that she never had it to begin with. As long as other people were pulling the strings of her life, whether that be her family, whether that be her agent, her team, her manager, whoever, she's never been in control. And I don't know that she's ever loved herself enough to want to be in control. I feel like she's ceded that control because I don't feel like she can handle it. She wants it, but I feel like she's afraid of it too. Okay. The latest album she's just released about the dead poets, that's showing her what happens when she allows herself to be in control. It's her mirror, it's her reflection, and she doesn't like it now that she sees how many in her audience are receiving it. And others outside of her audience. She's being forced through critics to see herself in a light that she never wanted her to see. She wanted to be seen as strong, as exposing herself in a fashionable way, but not genuinely being vulnerable. Because that stellium Capricorn is so protective, it's going to hide stuff. Even when she releases an album like that, it's going to be hiding stuff that she doesn't want to get out there. It's a deceptive kind of vulnerability. It's not the true vulnerable side of her that she needs to release, to let go of, in order for her to reach true healing. If she's going to heal herself, if she's going to admit that things are out of balance, she's going to have to go in for help. The question is she? And I'm wondering if that Five of Pentacles, if she isn't going to resist until she crashes and hits rock bottom. I hope that that isn't the case at all, but this is resisting until basically the universe forces you to accept assistance, accept help. That letter from that male figure in that Lenormand read that I did in the previous Taylor video, it was like a 7 spread. That might be someone signing her over to rehab against her own will. Either you do this or something worse will happen. Some other worse kind of consequence will happen. And that's where that forced retirement comes from. Interesting. Taylor has not to make fun of her last name, but Taylor has a swift spiral going down if she doesn't listen to the universe's instructions. And Olivia is just one reflection amongst many that Taylor has to face. It's tough, but that Capricorn stellium suggests to me that she is cut out for the job if she chooses to take it on. Okay, that's enough. I wish Taylor all kinds of healing, and I hope to her fans that you learn from Taylor's example and see what it is that you can do to make your own life's journey more towards your highest good, as opposed to avoiding your insecurities, avoiding your pain. Deal with those instead. Become vulnerable to yourself instead and see what it is you can do to heal your own heart. Take care of yourselves.